morning, good afternoon, good night, whenever you are watching this. Welcome to Mentor Mornings, my friends, where I share wisdom from people far wiser than myself to help you own your day and fuel your journey, because life is a journey, my friends, and we are on it. So do you see, when you look out into the world around you, do you see that the game is rigged? Can you imagine a system where humans have more abundance, more freedom? If you can, then what you see out there most likely frustrates you. I know that it frustrated the heck out of me when I started realizing the level of corruption and the amount of slavery that we, the citizens, are under, trying to operate in this financial system that has been designed around us. You know, in 2008, I started digging in. I wanted to understand, how is it that the world works, and why does it work the way that it does? I wanted to understand the world around me, and in my research, I came to a very disturbing conclusion: that the system is rigged. Corruption has found its way into the financial system and left us with the short end of the stick.
Wait a minute. This isn't my world. Disappointed!
Meaning that the system only serves the elite few and not the many. At that point, I started feeling angry. I started feeling frustrated. I felt confused. I felt lost. I wanted a life of freedom. I wanted the ability to travel. I wanted the ability to experience life and not to be a slave to a job for the rest of my life, only to spend the last few years of what was left in retirement. And discovering that information, the level of corruption, suppression of the human spirit, the abundance that was possible that we cannot grasp, or I thought we couldn't grasp, led me to feel very alone and angry. Yeah, I don't know what your viewpoint is on money or how you see it inside of the world around you. Maybe you look at money like it's the root of all evil. When you see somebody who is wealthy, do you feel anger or do you feel less than? Is wealth a product of corruption? You know, these are all questions that are worth asking for ourselves, because how we view money makes a significant impact on what we're willing to do or how we move forward inside of our life. You know, maybe you have a question of, can I be spiritual? Can I be close to divinity and be wealthy? And I have a question for you. Does divinity or does spirit want you to live in poverty? Is that something that spirit would want for you? Or does spirit want for you, or divinity, whatever you want to call it, does it want you to have abundance inside of your life? Does it want you to be fulfilled, have experiences, feel joy?
Yes! Yes!
Is money good or is it evil? And this is something that's worth addressing. And I have a visual exercise, if you're willing to kind of play around a little bit, that may be useful. It may give you a new insight. And so if you would, just for a moment, close your eyes and let's try this together. Or you can do it with your eyes open, however you feel you prefer. But imagine the continent that you live on. Imagine the continent that you live on. And like you're floating in the sky, move yourself away so that the whole continent comes into perspective. You can see the whole thing. And now imagine that that continent goes dark, like you're looking at it at night. And yet you can see any stores of currency, of money, of precious metals. You can see those stores and they show up like a gold light on this dark continent. And so where there's large amounts of money stored, you see a brighter, denser light. And you can see the light moving as transactions are made between people. There's energy, there's this gold light flowing everywhere. You just see it movement, constant movement. It's like it's alive. And that energy, that movement never stops. This represents the currency. This represents the energy of the human species. The energy that allows to build, the energy that allows to create, the energy that allows movement and growth. And so from this perspective, we can see that money or currency is just a form of energy. It's a form of energy between people that allows us to gain power, to have power. And with that power or energy, it's very similar to electricity, isn't it? And electricity can be used to power a city or bring water to a desolate, dry place, or it can be used to end a life. So the real question is, when you look at money, when you look at wealth, when you look at that power or that energy, do you have the trust within yourself to wield that kind of power? When we look at today's economic landscape, we can see that it's some rough terrain, guys. Like, we're witnessing the collapse or the end of one type of financial currency, the way that we operate, at least within the United States. And some people think that we're about to see a global reset. Whether that's for a new world order, for the global elites, or whether it's for the people, like Nasera or Gesera, both of which are new financial systems designed to encourage human abundance. The abundance that we should have, the abundance that we can all imagine inside of our minds. The truth is, though, my friends, we can have these expectations of what life should be like, and then there's the reality of what is. And just like anything inside of our life, the sooner that we can grasp and hang on to what the reality is versus our expectations, the sooner that we can start taking steps and making improvements and moving towards that positive movement, future that we're trying to create inside of our lives. The reality is that this is the system that is in front of us now. And even though it's broken, it's corrupt, it serves only a few, there is still opportunity. There is still opportunity for us to rise. When we look at the top earners, the people who are self-made, who have gone from nothing to very large somethings, like Robert Kiyosaki, he speaks about seeing money like it's a score. You're just playing a game, and your bank account is a representation of the score of how well you're playing the game. And we talked about this in previous videos, the power of our perceptions, the power of how we see the world, and how our perceptions influence our judgments, our actions, our beliefs, our responses, our emotions. And so if we look at money like it's the lifeblood, it's what keeps us alive, we're gonna use it very differently than if we look at money like it's a score inside of a game. What is it that stops us from using money? What is it that stops us from playing the game? It's the risk and the fear of failure. We have all fallen on our faces when we're trying to attempt something. And what's interesting is that when we look at like Michael Jordan has been quoted saying that he had 26 game-winning shots. The buzzer was about to ring and his team gave him the ball to help them win the game, and he threw it, and 26 times he missed at that game-winning buzzer. He had shot thousands of basketballs, and he had failed hundreds of times. They had lost hundreds of games. What would have happened if Michael Jordan had given up after his 5th failure, his 10th failure, his 15th failure? He would have never become the Michael Jordan that we all know today. He said failure is what took him to the heights that he was at. He would have never won if he hadn't have failed first. And so the fear of failure is real, and that's where courage comes in. But when we're able to face the fear of failure and take steps anyway, the next thing that stops us is that we don't know how. We don't know how to move forward. There are a lot of moving parts to doing anything, whether it's creating something, a painting or music or a product or a service. You know, all these things that we want to bring into the world, that we want to create that abundance inside of our lives. There are a lot of moving parts. What stops us is that it's difficult when we don't have the know-how. And the amazing thing, guys, is that when we set our mind to a result, to do something, that information shows itself very, very quickly. Whether we find it on the internet, or it's somebody that we know, or through the network of who they know, Information comes to us, whether it's from people, from the internet, from books. We can find what we need in order to keep taking the steps. If you have found that thing, then things will start lining up for you if you continue to pursue it. If the fear of failure is pushed to the side, you recognize it as something out there that is holding you back, and you can look past it, beyond it, and faith in the outcome. There's this quote in the Bible that says, "Ask and it shall be given to you. Seek and you shall find. Knock and it shall be open to you." You know, in today's landscape, we could look out there and say the terrain is rough and it's not worth traversing and it's against us, or we could say the headwind is strong and our kite will fly even higher. So in the face of a strong headwind, it takes the decision in this moment and in the moment following and in the next moment to rise. A constant decision to rise. And if you need success stories, then listen to this. There's a 17-year-old by the name of Faze Imran. He's an ambitious 17-year-old who built a successful digital marketing agency. He's making millions today. There's Sarah Blakely, who created a woman's product in her living room, and she just kept taking steps, one thing after another. Today, she's earning millions of dollars.
Let me tell you something. Every person in their life has had $1 million idea.
There's Rob Bailey, who started as a young man selling t-shirts on the internet and ended up growing a massive company called Flag Nor Fail. Man, he's making, apparel, sports apparel, he's making nutritional supplements, and he's following his passion and creating amazing music that is inspiring millions of people to go after their dreams. And so what dreams lie dormant within you? What $1 million idea is lying dormant within you that could be pursued, that could be followed? Play the game. Go after that high score. Because when we thrive, that's when we can help others. We cannot pour from an empty cup, my friends. We cannot pour from an empty cup. Opportunity awaits. So rise unconquered. And if you appreciate this video, please hit that thumbs up button. Let people know that it is worth sharing, and subscribe, my friends, if you have not already. Until tomorrow, my friends, rise.